The 20th century has been called the century of progress. In just 100 years, we've seen the advent of the telephone, television, satellites, and computers. We've driven in automobiles, flown on airplanes, and journeyed to the stars. Every year, it seems, the mysteries of science are being revealed, but not always with positive results. Who knew that the atom could destroy millions, or that the discovery of DNA would raise ethical questions about the origins of life itself? For this reason, then, it seems fitting that we as audiences play out our dreams and fears about technology in yet another marvel of the modern age, motion pictures. But all that was about to change. Star Wars, released by 20th Century Fox in 1977. It signaled the dawn of a new age in science fiction movies.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
With a tip of the hat to the carefree days of Flash Gordon serials,
I'm gonna make the jump to light speed.
George Lucas and his creative team added 2001-style special effects to the epic story of a farm boy who takes on an evil empire.
Star Wars came along at just the right time.
You must learn the ways of the Force.
The Force?
It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
It was basically 1977's feel-good movie. Anyone could go to this.
Here they come.
You did not have to be a science fiction fan because it wasn't a science fiction movie. It's a science fantasy movie.
I got him! Brave kid! Don't get cocky!
It was the heroes and the bad guys. It was Flash Gordon and Westerns all tied together.
I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Brought up to speed with all of the new technology.
Red 5 standing by. I worked on Star Wars for a couple of years before it evolved into what it is.
Accelerate to attack speed!
Fairly early on that the idea of a space dogfight came into play. Wouldn't it be interesting to take that kind of visual excitement and put it into outer space?
Here they come!
I had no idea at that point how I was going to accomplish it. So it really wasn't until I got together with some of the people who I brought in to figure it out, and we began to focus on the fact that we would have to create a different technology. And we did what we call videomatics, which we'd take little models and move them around on video and transfer that. And we did do some little animated pieces, and then I took footage from actual dogfights that got out of gun cameras in World War I and World War II. And out of that created a sequence that is more visual in motion.
I'll be right there!
Because it seemed inconceivable that I could actually do what Kubrick had done in 2001 and have it be done for any amount of money that I would have access to.
Produced for under $10 million, Star Wars went on to become the biggest grossing box office film of all time, and its now famous score, written by the incomparable John Williams, has become an anthem heard all over the world.
This is Red 5. I'm going in.
Like 2001, Star Wars revolutionized,
I have you now.
re-energized,
What?
and redefined the science fiction film.
Look out!
You're all clear, kid. Now blow this thing and go home.
And gave a new generation of filmmakers the tools to create the impossible.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Released the same year as Star Wars, Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind offered a refreshing twist on the alien invasion films of the 1950s. By the end of the decade, science fiction films had proven themselves a valuable box office commodity. The blockbuster status of Star Wars and Close Encounters sent Hollywood executives scrambling for new product. By now, sci-fi had become big business. And with the release of The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, George Lucas found himself at the head of a multi-billion-dollar industry.
As the fighters go in, we assume that the rebel cruisers also start to go in.
Now called Lucasfilm, the Star Wars empire included an army of artists, craftspeople, and special effects wizards.
Let her go!
With its lavish budget, The Empire Strikes Back offered a more textured and complex chapter to what was now announced as the Star Wars saga.
I'm not afraid.
You will be.
Sir, the possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Sure, the fun was still there. But with a decidedly darker tone.
There is no escape. Don't make me destroy you.
The Star Wars series started out as a movie that ended up being so big that I took each act and cut it into its own movie. The original concept really related to a father and a son, and it was that relationship that was the core of the story.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
I had to make a decision about whether I was really going to go through with him being his father. And I came to the decision of that was the original story. That's the way it should be.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Well, I think Star Wars is such a success because it goes beyond all of the wonders that attract the eye.
How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you.
It gave us characters that we could really identify with. Once you get characters you don't forget, why you like to come back and see them do their tricks over and over again.
Come on!
In 1983, Return of the Jedi capped the first of what was announced as a potential trio of Star Wars trilogies.
Let's go, and don't forget the droids. Run away!
By now, the epic battle between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader was entrenched in the national psyche.
Fulfill your destiny and take your father's place at my side.
A new mythology had been created, one which offered mystic notions of Jedi Knights and the power of the Force.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side.
If you will not be turned, you will be destroyed.
The optimism offered by films like Star Wars, Star Trek, and E.T. was giving way to a new kind of cynicism. As if in response to the excesses of the disco decade, audiences began to fear yet another alien monster, the monster within ourselves. After 20 years, the Star Wars trilogy returned to theaters, this time in a computer-enhanced special edition, and went on to break even more box office records.
Well, I think one of the reasons Star Wars is as popular today as it was then is George Lucas's uncanny ability to recognize how to keep something in the minds of the public.
Get alongside that one.
From the time those films ceased with The Return of the Jedi, for a while you didn't see anything about Star Wars and the interest was not there, it dissipated.
And I'll return. I promise.
Then suddenly you saw new novels. You saw more toys reemerging. Keep it in the eye of the public. And then when you have it reissued with new effects, when you have all the hype of that, you can't wait to see it again because it's an old friend. But it's not only your old friend, it's an old friend that's been dressed up and looking better than ever.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
From